Mark the Evangelist began his gospel with a title, a scripture quote, and the preaching of John the Baptist. Like the title of a book, Mark chapter 1 verse 1 defined the nature of the document and its main character. This was gospel, good news, a uniquely Christian genre. Mark told more than a biography in his gospel. He penned it to engender faith. He wanted his audience to believe, but in whom? Jesus, the Christ, the Son of God. Not only did the evangelist want his audience to put their trust in Jesus of Nazareth as the Messiah, he insisted that this Jesus had a unique relationship with the Jewish deity. He was the only Son, and God was his Father. Mark wanted his audience to believe in a very specific type of Messiah, the divine Jesus. Before he formally introduced Jesus, Mark placed him in the context of Scripture and in a popular preacher of the time, John the Baptist. In fact, the Bible passage he quoted described John's role vis-a-vis Jesus. The quote he ascribed to Isaiah actually included two references, Malachi chapter 3 verse 1 and Isaiah chapter 40 verse 3. The verses from Malachi and Isaiah described two polar opposite situations, the town crier and the Exodus experience. The town crier proclaimed news in the marketplace of a city. In one of his many roles, he acted as an advance man for the king. By announcing a royal visit, he warned the people to get ready with a fresh coat of paint on buildings and road improvements leading into the city, so the king would arrive in comfort and reward the people with favors like tax breaks and building projects. The Exodus was a desert journey that purged the wandering people of any doubt and prepared them for the promised land. It happened in the wilderness, not in a city. Isaiah spun these two images together to entice those captives held in the Babylonian exile to return home and rebuild Jerusalem. Their 1,000-mile journey across the Fertile Crescent was like the Exodus experience, for the travel of the captives through the wilderness prepared them spiritually for the task ahead, repossessing the promised land. Yet who was that messenger, that voice who cried out to the people in Mark's Gospel? John the Baptist. Mark portrayed John as an Elijah figure, a desert prophet and survivalist. He preached a spirituality different from the Pharisees or the Sadducees. The Pharisees taught the right way to God and involved strict adherence to the Jewish law. Sadducees held a spirituality of sacrifice at the temple. John implicitly held these practices were not enough. The faithful needed to reform their lives and turn back to God. As a sign of sincere conversion, he took the common practice of the Jewish ritual bath and spiritualized it. Many Jewish homes in the ancient world had a mikveh, a ritual bath where the faithful would immerse themselves and wash away any pollution of daily life before they prayed. John turned that idea of immersion, of baptism, and gave it a higher meaning. The one baptized by John not only washed away the immoralities of his former life, he entered into a new group, those expecting the coming of the Messiah and his kingdom, those hoping to be forgiven in the final judgment. John prophesied about the Christ to come. John didn't see himself worthy of serving him, even as a slave, by removing the man's sandals. John only baptized in water, with the promise of acquittal for sin. The Messiah would baptize his followers in the Spirit, God's very power. He and his disciples would form a community with a spiritual power that would even surpass that of Israel's prophets. John came to announce the Christ and the kingdom of his Father. He prepared the people with a baptism that looked forward to God's reign and forgiveness. But he pointed to a person greater than he, at a time more energized than his. The one to come would not only baptize with water, he would immerse his followers in God's very life.